Hi, I'm Lucy Marvellous from Fresher Bites. I'm going to show you today how to make this extremely quick, easy and delicious macaroni cheese, with or without vegetables. So here is everything we need. Pan of boiling water to cook our 175 grams of pasta. I like to use fusilli, you can use actual macaroni if you want. I also like to use brown, it only takes 11 minutes to cook, so why not? The water's boiling, I've put a pinch of salt in it, just tip that in. Set a timer for 11 minutes. That gives us 11 minutes to make the sauce. It's very, very easy to do. We've got a pint of milk here. A pint's an old-fashioned measure, it's 568 millilitres. Milk used to come in pints, I think it still does. And we're going to make a pint of sauce. To make a good pint of sauce, we need
2 heaped tablespoons of corn flour.
Corn flour is going to thicken the sauce. Therefore, we don't want it to be lumpy, we're going to slake it in this milk so that there aren't any lumps when we mix the milk and the corn flour mixture together. A nice heaped tablespoon will give you a nice thick sauce. For a pouring sauce, just use a little bit less. Give it a really good stir, make sure there aren't any lumps in it. This works for making any sauce, it's almost like a cheap sauce, it's so easy to make. And then all you have to do is mix that with a pint of milk and bring it to the boil. A pint of milk in the pan. Make sure it's all really nicely mixed up. Check the bottom of the jug for bits, you see that bit there, if that went in whole it will make a big lump. So give it a squish. That really is the only skilled part of this, is making sure there aren't any lumps in your corn flour mixture. Put that in there. We will need to stir this. This is a very big burner for a small pan. Keeping your hand on top of the handle, pushing down, you can stir that. Now I just need to grate my 150 grams of cheese, keeping an eye on everything because that sauce will need a stir soon. Remember, your grater only works one way. No point rubbing the cheese up and down. As the milk starts to heat up, you are going to need to stir it. The corn flour will swell and that's what will thicken the sauce. And once it starts to do that, it can settle on the bottom if you don't keep stirring it. Make sure you're stirring all over the bottom, right to the edges, gently keeping the milk in the pan. Hand on top of the handle pushing down is safer. You can see as it's bubbling now, it's starting to get thicker. This is where it's important that we keep stirring as it comes to the boil. There goes the timer for our pasta. Our sauce is just about to get thick. This is when you need a colander to drain your pasta. You can of course drain your pasta out the edge of your saucepan using the lid to hold the pasta back, but you're much more likely to lose some down the sink. If you use a nice colander like that, you get to keep all the pasta that you've weighed and cooked. I'm just bringing this to the boil. As it comes to the boil, it's really thickening up. We need to boil it for a minute to make sure that the flour taste is cooked out of it. You could do with a bigger pan than this really for a whole pint of sauce. If you do get lumps in your sauce, just take a whisk and give it a good whisk to combine the lumps and the rest of the liquid. Now, if when your sauce is cooked and it's bubbled, it's still too runny, we can add more corn flour, but not while it's boiling. So what we need to do is take it off the heat and let it cool while we mix up another tablespoon of corn flour. For this top-up quantity, I'm just going to use a little bit of water. Another big tablespoon of corn flour into that water. Same again, mixing it to make sure there aren't any lumps. And then we want to mix this in with the heat off because if this boils while we're mixing it, you'll end up with some really big lumps. So the heat's off, carefully stir that in. When we're happy that it's fully combined, you can see it's already thickening. Put this back on. We need to boil that for a minute to make sure the flour flavour's gone. So this has made a completely plain sauce. There's no seasoning, it's just like a thickened milk. We want some black pepper. And now we've got a white sauce. We can then add whatever other flavourings we want. In this case, we want cheese. We've grated 150 grams of cheese. 100 of that is for the sauce, 50 is to go on the top. So 2/3 in here, and this is for the top. Mustard really adds a nice flavour to cheesy things. So a nice big teaspoon of mustard. Stir all this into the lovely warm sauce. If you had a bigger pan, you could tip your pasta straight into this pan. But what we're going to do is tip everything into the other pan. Just let that cheese melt through, give it a little stir so everything's gone all the way through. That is a delicious cheesy sauce with a little bit of mustard. At this point, taste it. Decide if you want any salt in it. Depends how salty your cheese was. You could add any type of cheese. I use strong cheddar because it tastes good. You could add Stilton or Parmesan. Delicious. And that is plenty salty enough. So there is my cheese sauce. Here is my pasta that's been drained. Mix the two together. The recipe says to add 200 grams of frozen vegetables, which you can do if you want a macaroni or pasta cheese with vegetables. But you don't have to add the vegetables as long as you are getting your 5 a day. Stir all of this together, making sure everything's nicely coated with the thick cheesy sauce. Then divide the mixture between either 4 foil trays, or you can put it all in one big pie dish. Foil trays heat up really quickly. You could halve the recipe, of course, or you could eat the lot. Use a spatula to get the last of it out if you've got one. Means you don't waste any sauce, and it makes your pan easier to wash. Pop that straight in the sink with some hot water in it, it'll be easier to wash later. Use our last 50 grams of cheese to top these. And I like a little bit more black pepper on the top. Pop them under the grill for a couple of minutes. My grill's already nice and hot. So give these time to get nice and brown. There you go, lovely hot macaroni cheese. That's taken about 20 minutes start to finish, and it is absolutely delicious. You could add anything else that you want. You could have the vegetables if you want, or have a salad on the side. Lovely. Pop over to Facebook, tell me what you'd like to see me cooking. Show me what you've been cooking, ask me some questions. Be lovely to see you. See you soon.